Hey there guys, welcome back, Ricky here. Alright, so I have gotten lots of requests about flattening stones or how to flatten your whetstones. Now this covers about 4 categories in terms of pricing. You have the $2, $2.50 range, about $20, and then about $70 to $120, $130 to over $300. I'll start from the lowest budget up to the higher budgets, but before I begin, if you're looking for a no-cost option, you can simply grab your whetstone, go to your sidewalk and grind your whetstones on the sidewalk with some water. That does a fairly good job. So the first option we have here is your 3M sandpaper. Now this is wet and dry sandpaper. I've used every grit range between 80 to 400. I have found that the 220 grit works the best in terms of material removal and also smoothness of the whetstone after I'm done. This is wet and dry sandpaper. You can use it on any sort of surface that you want that's smooth. You can use plexiglass or a piece of tile. That works fairly well. I could have used the sandpaper here on my stainless steel table. That would have worked just fine, but I had my Sharpening pond laying around, so I simply threw some water on the pond and then threw the sandpaper on that. Once you've worked a lot of the bubbles out from beneath the paper, you don't have to worry about holding it down at all. You will see some residue from the sandpaper come off. That's really not a big problem. It won't hurt the stone at all, so don't worry about that. But in terms of the overall finish, the whetstone is very nice and clean, very smooth, and definitely very flat. The second option we have here is also by 3M. It's actually a mesh. It feels a lot like the mesh that you put on your window screen. I'll find the exact item and I'll link it below. So in terms of how to use it, it's a little bit different from the sandpaper, but you want to tape it down to a cardboard or some sort of flat surface that's very flat. And so I simply use the cardboard, I tape the ends, and then I simply mark my stone, and then I went to work. The only 2 negative things I have to say about this piece of device is that because you're taping it down, you lose some height or some length to the sheet, and also it's very slow or relatively slow compared to the other options. The next option we have here is a Norton stone. So this is the Norton flattened stone. Now this stone here is made of silicon carbide, and so they do require a little bit of water. If you use these without water, you will see that the whetstone is completely dry, and so you'll keep adding water to the stone or to your whetstone and it'll just keep absorbing it up. So it's a good idea to soak this for about 5 or 10 minutes before you use it. That way the water stays on the whetstone, on the surface, and it makes it much faster to use. So as you're using it, you will see that this stone here will give off materials. And that's not really a huge problem because theoretically your stones shouldn't be grooved like an obvious groove before you flatten it. But if it were, you're gonna wear out the top and bottom of the stone fairly quickly or faster than the rest of the stone. So by turning the stone to the side, you allow the wear to happen in the middle of the stone. So you have to remember whatever area that needs to be flattened on the whetstone is reversed on the flattening stone. Going through the instructions, they say that you will have to reflatten the stone every once in a while. And the point is, you don't want to buy a plate to flatten a flattening stone. So my recommendation is, if you don't want to spend a lot of money, go to your sidewalk, grind it on your sidewalk. It'll do fairly well. But if you want to spend money and buy a plate to flatten the stone, this is where these plates come in next. The first plate we have here is the Atoma 140. Now this one is actually made by myself. This is actually a 140 and a 600 on the other side. At the time of purchase, this Atoma plate was about $140, and I didn't want to spend $140, so I had a custom plate milled out for me for about $15, and then I spent another, I want to say $65 to buy the 2 blades, the 140 and the 600, and I got myself a dual plate. I think it's very cool. And so yeah, so this here is a great option for those who want to have a flattening plate as well as a stone, a very coarse stone to fix some blades on. Now if you watch my videos, my restoration videos in the past, you will see that I use the 140 quite often. And so this one here is to me a very all-purpose or well all-arounder for using in your shop, whether you are sharpening knives, repairing knives, or flattening whetstones. So it's a very versatile tool. The next option we have here is a brand new product by Nanohone. This is the NL5. Now I believe Nanohone makes, I want to say 4 different sizes. And so this is the entry or second level that they have. In terms of speed, I find that it's an okay cutting stone. I don't find it to be very fast. I do find that the quality of this thing is very nice. I mean, the entire base is CNC aluminum, and then there's a steel plate, a stainless steel plate on the front that has these custom shapes cut out. And so this entire thing is very well put together. I find that you know, it's a little bit thin for my taste. I would rather it to be another half an inch thicker or wider. That definitely would have helped in terms of the control. For those who want to spend $100-ish or so, the Nanahone is not a bad option. The next flattening plate we have here is the Sharpening. And so Sharpening makes very high quality products. That's one thing you have to know about them. It's got a beautiful rubber mold that encases the entire plate. They do put a piece of glass on the back side of this thing, so I don't really know why. It doesn't really serve a purpose other than matching the aesthetics of their glass plates. And to me, I'd rather not have that. Just give me a piece of steel or even just a piece of aluminum. That way, if I were to drop it, the glass won't break. But that's just me. I'm a little bit more practical than this. It looks very nice. It's very beautiful. If you look here, it's got these grooves here. So these are water channels. So what they allow is they allow materials to go into the channels while the plate, the actual diamond surface, still grinds on the whetstone. But in terms of speed, this is, I would say, 2 to 3 times faster than any of the other diamond plates here. And also it's very large. You can see here that it's about 10 inches by 3 inches. It's the only option here where you can use the plate itself as a base and put the whetstone on top, flatten it that way. Or you can put the whetstone on a base and use the sharpened plate on top and flatten from the top. If you are running a business and you are sharpening knives daily and you're flattening whetstones daily, this would be a very good investment for your business. If you're a hobbyist, if you have the money, there's nothing wrong with buying very high quality products. And so I fully endorse anyone with the finances to buy something like this. So in terms of a pure flattening plate, it's definitely the best designed and best performing of all the plates I have used. Full disclosure, you don't have to spend $300 or plus to get a flat whetstone. You can see that all of these options here gave me very flat whetstones. But this one definitely is the fastest working and definitely the easiest to use. So between these 6 options here, I believe that they will serve about 99% of the people who are watching this video. Alright folks, we thank you so much for your time. If you found this video helpful or informative, please give the video a thumbs up. And if you have not already, please consider subscribing, and I'll catch you in the next video. If you live in the Northern California area, so Sacramento, San Francisco, San Jose, wherever you live in Northern California, and you guys are in the food business somehow, hit me up in the comments. I definitely want to hear from you. If you know how to cure raw fish, I definitely want to hear from you. If you're a sushi chef or just a person who is really good with fish, I definitely want to have you here in my studio, and I want you to show me how to cure fish because I am seriously curious about how to make cured fish. I'll tell you the backstory of that some other time, but if you are in the food business in Northern California or if you know how to cure fish, I want to meet you and have you here on my show.